Welcome to today's Brand Origin Deep Dive. You've seen their logo countless times, their services woven into the fabric of modern life. But do you know how a dimly lit archive and a discarded doodle hinted at a radically different future? We're peeling back the layers, journeying not through polished corporate histories, but into the quiet corners where the seeds of billion-dollar empires were sown and sometimes where alternative paths were abandoned. If you find value in this kind of storytelling, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps more than you know. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from or your thoughts on this brand's fascinating evolution. Let's dive in and discover how it all began. You step across the threshold, entering a low-lit, climate-controlled archive. It feels like stepping back in time, rows of beige boxes standing silent guard over the physical ghosts of a digital empire. Dust motes dance in the single beam of light filtering from a high window, illuminating faded labels, brittle printouts, and obsolete storage media like ancient relics. The air is cool, dry, carrying the faint scent of old paper and ozone, a stark contrast to the humming servers and bustling campuses you might imagine as the brand's heartland. This is where a true story begins, not in the digital ether, but in forgotten corners where early intentions were filed away, perhaps deliberately obscured. You are searching for something specific now, a memo, a diagram, a failed prototype from the earliest days, predating the ubiquitous logo, hinting at a different path, a divergence from the destiny of becoming the world's advertising engine. This archive holds the brand's initial idealism, its almost philosophical rejection of traditional commerce, a stance that now feels impossibly naive. You uncover a theoretical, never-built ad concept sketched on a brittle printout from before AdWords existed. Something considered too intrusive, too noisy for their pure information model at the time. It's a quirky, lesser-known detail that speaks volumes. As you scan the rows, the initial excitement of discovery gives way to the first inkling of compromise. The subtle pressures to monetize etched into marginalia. The air here is still, a corporate silence that feels less peaceful and more like something held back, a breath before a forgotten storm. Brand historians still debate whether the founders truly believed they could build a sustainable engine purely on information discovery, or if monetization was always the quiet intent. The flickering cursor, a symbol of hesitant search and the potential of information discovery, seems to waver in your mind's eye, reflecting the uncertainty held within these walls. You arrive at a pivotal moment. Building on those initial, idealistic goals, you now follow the trail of early internal memos and hushed corridor conversations. This is the awkward, conflicted birth of the first rudimentary advertising system. Inside the fledgling company, the air thickens with tension as engineering purity clashes head-on with business necessity. You learn about early, now-forgotten engineers, people like Anya, fresh out of grad school, who fiercely pushed back, fearing monetization would corrupt the search results and erode precious user trust. It felt like selling out, like tainting a pure well of information. The brand transformation begins here, grappling with the immense technical challenges and ethical questions of placing commercial messages alongside pure information. How do you do that without breaking the core promise? A brand core element solidifies. The very first attempt at a pay-per-click or contextual ad system. It's clunky, visually disruptive. Imagine early GeoCities banner ads levels of finesse, and met with significant internal resistance. The sound of early modems dialing up, The flickering screens of cathode ray monitors displaying these jarring prototype interfaces. The tense quiet of late-night coding sessions. You can feel the doubt. The emotional shift is palpable. Doubt and tension as the cold reality of making money confronts the founding principles. The flickering cursor motif starts to change. It now represents not just search, but also the drawing of attention, the hesitant selection of a path, the first click that might lead away from pure information. Brand historians still debate whether this early resistance shaped the eventual, less intrusive ad formats. Building on what came before, the flickering cursor wasn't just searching anymore. It was a signal. Now you move into the era of rapid scaling, the true birth of the advertising behemoth, AdWords and AdSense. This wasn't just about putting ads next to search results. It was an intense engineering effort, a complex algorithmic ballet, connecting users, publishers, and advertisers on a massive scale, almost in real time. Think of it like building a global stock exchange for attention, but happening billions of times a second. Behind this monumental shift stood anonymous architects, data scientists, and behavioral psychologists whose work became the invisible foundation of the internet economy. Their code, their models, were the hidden, constantly shifting rulebook governing who saw what and who earned how much. You could walk through vast data centers, feeling the hum of countless servers packed into impersonal racks. The abstract beauty and terrifying complexity of network diagrams plastered on walls. The brand transformation accelerated from hesitant steps to aggressive market capture. While today we take targeted ads for granted, analysts continue to question the long-term impact of prioritizing algorithmic efficiency over direct human oversight in shaping online experiences. A quirky detail? Early on, figuring out if someone searching for Apple wanted fruit or a computer required not just keywords, but building probabilistic models based on billions of other searches. A task that felt less like programming and more like digital telepathy. The emotional shift is palpable. An overwhelming sense of scale, a growing realization of the system's immense, pervasive power. The flickering cursor now represents the constant, invisible tracking of user behavior, the micro-decisions of the algorithm deciding what gets visibility. The silent battle for your attention has truly begun. Building on the incredible growth and innovation that defined its early years, the brand reached a new, challenging phase. This section, known as the Echoes of the Original Sin, marks the moment when the core tension within the system became too loud to ignore. You begin to hear the first significant public backlash, the rumblings of internal dissent regarding the invasiveness of the burgeoning ad machine and the voracious appetite for data collection. The shiny facade cracks, revealing an identity crisis as the public perception starkly clashes with the foundational myths the brand carefully cultivated. Stories of users feeling tracked, manipulated, and deeply uneasy begin to surface, amplified across news reports and online forums, creating a persistent static of complaint that drowns out the earlier fanfare. Simultaneously, you witness the quiet departures of key figures, innovators and idealists who felt the company had definitively lost its way. A major turning point arrives with a corporate response to this growing pressure. A failed attempt at launching a seemingly privacy-first ad product, or perhaps a public statement that felt so disingenuous or was so quickly backtracked, it only deepened the mistrust. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind this particular misstep, viewing it as a critical failure in crisis management. Adding a quirky, unsettling layer, internal memos from this era, later leaked, revealed a project codenamed Orwell's Gift, a rather blunt internal moniker for their advanced user segmentation engine, highlighting a certain internal detachment from the user experience. The sensory contrast is jarring. The bright, friendly public image you see feels like a thin veneer over the cold, data-driven reality of its internal operations, starkly felt in the sterile atmosphere of damage control meetings. The emotional shift is profound. Disillusionment sets in, replaced by a growing sense of unease about the brand's true nature. The gentle, flickering cursor motif now feels inherently more sinister. It is no longer just an indicator of presence, but a prying eye, a marker of being watched, a silent testament to the data points being collected about you, fueling the very system that profits from your digital existence. Building on the sophisticated data infrastructure that emerged, you witness the final, near-invisible evolution. This isn't just about keywords anymore. It's about understanding intent, behavior, and even mood. The brand refines its targeting to an astonishing degree, integrating seamlessly across search, display, mobile, and video. User data becomes not just valuable, but the very oxygen of the operation, fueling hyper-personalized ads that feel less like advertising and more like uncanny recommendations. This mastery of data for outreach marks a major historical milestone, a pivot where the ad department dissolves into the company's core strategy. The system is startlingly effective and yet, paradoxically, almost invisible. You see an ad, and it feels so relevant, so timely, that it doesn't register as intrusion, but utility. It's a weirdly unsettling feeling, like being understood by an algorithm in a way that feels both helpful and a little bit spooky. It was like the algorithm knew you were thinking about buying cat food before you even searched for it. Analysts continue to question the reasoning behind the complete integration, pointing to the potential human cost, the creation of echo chambers, the subtle shaping of desires, the impact on industries that can't compete with this data-driven machine. The brand transformation is complete. Advertising isn't an add-on. It's the central nervous system. The old flickering cursor is gone, but its spirit lingers, no longer a blinking prompt, but an integrated negotiation for your attention, woven silently into the fabric of every digital touchpoint. Your clicks are no longer random acts, but steps guided by an invisible hand. Welcome to today's Brand Origin Deep Dive. You've heard of the product, but do you know how an initial flicker of an idea, meant only to organize the world's scattered information, transformed into the silent engine powering global commerce? It's a journey that starts with a seemingly simple question and ends with a complex digital landscape we navigate every single day. If you find value in this kind of storytelling, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps more than you know. And let us know in the comments where you're watching from or what your first memory of using this brand was. Let's dive in and discover how it all began. In its nascent stages, the brand wasn't conceived as an advertising behemoth. Picture a few bright minds, fueled by late-night pizza and a shared frustration with the chaotic early internet. Their major historical milestone wasn't a splashy product launch, but rather the development of a revolutionary algorithm, a complex sorting mechanism that could actually make sense of the burgeoning World Wide Web, much like finally organizing a hoarder's attic. Before this, finding anything online felt like navigating a library where the books were scattered across multiple dimensions. A quirky, lesser-known detail from these early days: their first server was reportedly cobbled together from spare, discounted parts, housed in a garage or a cluttered dorm room, barely held together by duct tape and pure optimism. It was about as sophisticated as a potato battery, yet it held the seed of something world-changing. Brand historians still debate whether the founders truly foresaw the scale of their impact, or if they were simply building a tool they desperately needed themselves, hoping others might too. But that sorting algorithm was the bedrock. It promised a way to find information effortlessly, guided only by the relevance of a query. Building on what came before, that initial sorting capability quickly attracted users. People flocked to the service because, quite simply, it worked better than anything else out there. This period saw rapid growth, propelled by word of mouth in the still small online communities. A major historical milestone during this phase was securing their first significant round of venture capital funding. The moment the garage project started looking like a real company, with actual employees and maybe even a few matching mugs in the break room. Suddenly, the duct-taped server had company. There's a quirky detail about a proposed early interface design that featured a minimalist, almost blank page, radically different from the busy portals of the time. Internal memos show some resistance, arguing users needed more visual cues, more stuff. But the founders insisted on speed and simplicity, believing the power was in the results, not the wrapping paper. Analysts continued to question the reasoning behind sticking to such a stark design initially. Was it user-centric genius or just stubbornness? Regardless, that clean interface became an unexpected part of their growing identity, signaling efficiency in a cluttered digital world. Then came the pivot that would redefine the brand entirely. As the user base exploded, the question shifted from how do we organize information to how do we make this sustainable? This led to perhaps the most significant major historical milestone: the introduction of a sophisticated, auction-based advertising system linked directly to search queries. Instead of banner ads plastered everywhere, you saw small, relevant text ads next to your search results. It felt less intrusive, more useful, almost like a helpful suggestion rather than a desperate shout. A quirky, lesser-known detail about this era is the internal debate over the color of the ad links. Different shades were A/B tested extensively to find the perfect balance between visibility and blending in. There's a story about a designer who was colorblind accidentally picking a combination that performed unexpectedly well. Strategic thinkers continue to question the reasoning behind making ads look so similar to organic results. Was it a clever move for user experience, or the first step towards blurring the lines of unbiased information? This shift fundamentally altered the brand's mission, linking the retrieval of knowledge directly to commercial intent. From that point, the trajectory became one of unprecedented market dominance. The advertising engine was incredibly effective, turning user intent into revenue at scale. As explored in the previous phase, the seamless integration of ads, combined with their superior search technology, created a powerful feedback loop. A major historical milestone here was achieving a significant threshold in global market share, essentially becoming the default gateway to the internet for billions. This wasn't just about having users. It was about having their attention at the precise moment they were looking for something. A quirky detail? Early on, there were attempts to introduce more personality into the search results, perhaps a small animation or sound effect, but these were quickly scrapped in favor of maintaining absolute speed and efficiency. The brand became obsessed with shaving milliseconds off load times, seeing speed as a competitive advantage. Brand historians still debate whether this relentless pursuit of speed sacrificed potential avenues for richer, less commerce-focused interactions down the line. But the system worked, creating a digital empire built on the foundation of monetized attention. You step back from the archive now, the dust settling behind you. The story of how the company became the king of ads isn't just a business history, it's a parable for the digital age. You reflect on the initial flicker of an idea meant to organize the world's information, a symbolic flickering cursor on a blank screen, searching for meaning. That flicker transformed into the ubiquitous, silent hum of commerce that powers and shapes the online world today. The flickering cursor is no longer confined to screens. It's in the targeted ads that follow you across devices, in the content algorithms prioritize, in the very airwaves carrying personalized messages. It's everywhere attention can be captured and monetized. What was lost in this transformation? The naive idealism of information for its own sake. The privacy of thought, uninfluenced by persuasive algorithms. What does it mean when the pursuit of knowledge is inherently linked to the capture of attention for commercial gain? The story leaves you with a sense of ambiguity. Has the brand succeeded beyond measure, building a global infrastructure for accessing knowledge and commerce? Or has it become a prisoner of the very system it created, perpetually optimizing for clicks and conversions, beholden to the demands of advertisers? The archive is silent, offering no easy answers, but the questions linger, echoing in the vast, data-filled world that the brand built. It's a world where every search, every click, every hesitant flicker of attention is now part of the grand, ongoing narrative of selling and being sold to. Is this the final chapter, or just the prelude to another, even more profound transformation waiting in the digital shadows? As we pull back from this deep dive into the brand's past, what key takeaways remain? Perhaps the most significant is the sheer scale of transformation, how a simple tool evolved into an invisible force, shaping economies and influencing culture. The long-term legacy isn't just the products they built, but the very model of the internet they helped create, one where access to information is largely underwritten by advertising. The flickering cursor, once a symbol of potential and discovery, stands now as a powerful cultural symbol of the attention economy itself, a constant reminder that our online actions are valuable not just for us, but for the data they generate. The lessons learned are complex, highlighting the inherent tension between altruistic goals and commercial realities, and the immense power wielded by those who control the flow of information and attention. And maybe, just maybe, the soul of a brand is never in its product, but in the people, stories, and stumbles that shape it.